I'll read. So we're starting to build up quite a little bit of data here. Obviously nowhere near enough, but we've got enough to start doing some data analysis. So this is my current list of bets built up from the last few videos. I'm just going down the list here. You can see this is today's where we haven't got the results in yet, although I have got one result in, this one here. But you can see up until today we've had 260 bets. We didn't have a particularly good day yesterday. I think there was only 3 expert bets and 2 lost and 1 won. So you can see that one there, this one here, they both lost, and then Rangers Aberdeen won. So if we go on the data analysis tables, this is what we're going to start looking at. I've already got 2 built up, which I think I showed in the last video. One where we're looking at where there's a expert tip of either 1, 2, 3 or 4. I believe that could go higher, you could get 5, but I haven't had any yet. 4's been the highest. And so where we've got at least one expert tip, we're putting a bet on. You can see we're 5.94 points up. The value bets has overtaken it somewhat because it had a reasonable day yesterday, whereas we lost 1.78 on the experts. On the value, we were 0.55, so just over half a point up, and we're now on 7.97 there. If we look at even the 4's now done really well the last 2 days, where that was negative before, that's now 0.23. If we'd done anything with, just looking here, we've got a 0 in here still. Even the zeros have got 7.75, but there's been 96 bets. So this is what we need to look at in more detail. This is our total for the whole list now is 8.24, because that's every single bet here. We've got 261 bets and 8.24 points up if we just bet on everything, albeit we would have spent £261 placing those bets and would only be 8.24 £8.24 up, which is a lot of investment for a small return. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the data. And the first thing I tend to do if I want to look at data is I'll just highlight the heading columns, and then if you click on this filter toolbar here, just using Google Sheets here, by the way, but anything I'm doing here you can do in Excel. In fact, you can do more in Excel. It's just what I thought I would use Google Sheets because it's obviously free with a Gmail account. So that's put a filter on there. So what we can do now is we can filter by whatever we want. So if we click on these triangles here, we can see them here highlighted as I hover over them. For example, here we could clear, this is select all here, and this is clear all. So if we clear all and we drop down this list, we could see if we just wanted to see Premier League bets, for example, which would be English Premier League, this one here. So you can see the tick goes on there and click OK. Apologies if this is a little bit basic for some people, but I just thought I'd run through it for people. I know a lot of people know how to use Google Sheets, but a lot of people don't as well. So I'm just going through the basics here. So you can see there, I can highlight the list now by just pressing the down arrow and press Shift Control and down, highlight them all. You can see in the bottom right here, we've got a count. So there's 19 bets. We've placed 19 bets on the Premier League. We've had a mixed bag there, really. You can see the negatives are losses and the positives are wins. If we highlight that column, you can see the sum is 1, so net 1 up if we add all those together. If we highlight the profit column, this is our points. We're minus 0.03 down on all the Premier League bets. So then you can see the value bets, you can see the expert bets. If we want to take out the 0 expert bets to see if that makes any difference and just look at where we've had an expert bet, that is now, if I highlight this column, well, you don't need to highlight it, it's saying 12, there's now 12 of the 272 rows displayed. If I highlight that, it looks a little bit better because there's only 4 losses there now. So that's a positive +4 if I sum that. And if I sum the points, we're at 3.50 points. So the takeaway from that is that if we concentrated just solely on Premier League bets where we've got an expert tip of at least one expert, we'd be 3.5 points up. So that's something we could concentrate on going forward. Obviously, we're only looking at 12 bets. We need a hell of a lot bigger sample than this over a period of months, not just a few days. And bear that in mind for the entirety of this video. We just haven't got enough. We haven't got enough data yet. If I want to change these filters, I can just do select all again just to get them all back. And wherever you've got a filter on, you'll see the little funnel sign. When you haven't got a filter on, you'll just see the triangle. So I know I've still got a filter on here, so I'll just click on this and do select all again. So that's how you use the filters. You can get a bit more complex on the filters by looking at values. I'll just quickly run through one of those. So here we can say filter by condition. And we might want to look where this rating is over 50, for example. So we can just say greater than, and then we can type in our number there. And then if we drop down to the bottom, which I can't do, sorry about that. Filter by condition, do that again, greater than 50, drop down here and then click OK. You can see that's put a filter on this column here, and it's only showing records that are over 50 in value, and it's showing 233, so a lot of them are over 50. It's only taken out about 40 rows there. Okay, so that's how we use filters then. So what I'm going to move on to now, once I take this off, is I'm just going to look at pivot tables. Can't get that off there. There's something going a bit odd with this. I can't do much there other than take it back off. Let's change that to none there. You can actually just click on this button up here and it'll take off your filters altogether, and if you put them back on, that'll clear all your filters as well. It's probably a quicker way of doing it than look at each one. Okay, so moving on then to pivot tables. So all we need to do here is just put the active cell in part of your table that you want to do a pivot table for, and then click on insert, and then there's this option here, pivot table. We'll just create a blank pivot table in a new sheet. So if I click on create, you'll see it's created a new sheet called pivot table 8 there. I don't want to mess about with those pivot tables I've already got. So this is basically what you've got. You can do rows, columns, and values, and then there's a few other things you can do, filters as well. So if I just start by doing a row then, and all I do is I just drop the date under the row there, and as you can see here on the left hand side, for each date in our spreadsheet, it is shown one row. So then if we wanted to see the profit, which is our points, we put that in values down here. Just drag it over. So then you can see on the 30th of the 1st, we were 1.04 points down. So it's just summing the profit by day. On the 6th of the 2nd, which was yesterday, we were 2.09 up in total. What that's not showing us is the number of bets. So what we can do here is we could drag, say, and more or less any of these fields. I'll just drag profit again, and we'll just drag it into the same place. So we've got two profit columns now. One's the sum. Well, sorry, they're both the sum at the minute. One's the sum, and I'm going to change this one here to the count. So instead of summing, it'll just count them. So you can see there, it's showing there was 28 rows, and it adds up to minus 1.04. So effectively, what we can do is type in here, this is effectively our number of bets, the bet count, whatever you want to call it. And this here is the points profit. So just call that points. So that is, now we can see that there was actually 22 bets yesterday, and it's 2.09 profit. So that's always a good idea to get the context. We were 2 points down there, but there was only 7 bets. There's only one for today because that's the 2 o'clock game I've already put the result in for. And And now what you can do with pivot tables is we could say, okay, let's have a look. What we were up 7.37 then, there was only 13 bets. Let's have a look at those 13 bets. So what you can do, anywhere in a pivot table, you can double click on any cell and it'll drill down into the data. So if I double click on that, it creates a new worksheet, and it's got the 13 bets in there, and it's showing you them all. Now we know that totaled up to 7.37 it was there. You can see down here on the bottom right, you can look at the sum, you can look at the average and things. So every single, we averaged 0.56 points per bet. So we kind of got half a point per bet on that day, on the 5th. I suspect because it's 7.37, we had, and there was only 13 bets, we had a couple of high winners, which was there, here, and here. That was a big one, but it was because it's a draw. When it predicts a draw and wins a draw, you get quite a high profit return. So that's one thing you can do with pivot tables. Don't it's a really good little function. And what I normally do is when I'm finished with the worksheet, I just delete it. Just says, are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. So then we're back at our pivot table. So if we want to look at other things then, so by date, we've obviously got our expert tips. We can drag EXP in and just drag it in under date. So you can see then for each day, we get the number of tips by the expert tips. Now you can see that we've got a lot of zeros in there. Everything's always going to add up to 8.24 unless you've got a filter on, because that's our total running points total. But if we wanted to, we can do a filter as well. So your filter's down here. Now what we can do, if we drag the experts in and then drop that down, we can take 0 off, and these filters work just the same way as they do on worksheets. So you can see I've taken the zeros out of there. It's only showing 4 items. It's showing 1 through to 4. So we had one bet at 1, that was 2.4. And then if we go down to the bottom here, you can see our total is now 5.3. So what we're seeing there is, and there's 38 bets. If we want to see those 38 bets, we can just double click on them. And again, it's showing those 38 bets there. That's the powerful nature of the pivot table. So again, I'll just delete that sheet there and go back to our pivot table. So you're probably thinking it looks a bit complicated, but what we do now, we're not really interested in the date. So we can just pull that out and we can see there's the expert tips without the date. We might want to look at expert tips by value, because that's the other thing we've been looking at, value. So we'll put that in the columns. And you can see here now, albeit it's a little bit stretched, I'll shorten these up a little bit. You can see our value bets across the top by the experts down the rows. Just shorten these up a bit. That was a slow way of doing that. But you can see now then, so where we've had no value, we're down 0.64. So I'd probably drop that into the filters as well, and then just take the 0 out for that. Okay, so we're just looking at patterns here and trends for you can see there, that's quite a nice bit of profit, 2.54, as is this, 4.79. You can also see that where we've had at least one expert bet, and also it's been a value of 5, we're 4.87 points up. So that's the kind of things you can do with pivot tables. What I also want to look at, I'll take these filter ones out here, is to show you that we can look at other things as well. Basically anything we want to, really. So if we put competition in, for example, in the rows, we can now see by competition whether we're doing well or not. You can see there that Belgian First Division, we've put 13 bets on and we're minus 6 points down, which is pretty bad. League One's pretty bad, 16 bets and 6 down. National League's pretty bad. We can highlight all the English stuff there because they're all together, because it starts with England. I'll forget about the EFL Trophy and the FA Cup because they're cup competitions, but these league ones here, I've highlighted there. You can see the sum down here is minus 10 points. So that's something we can look at. We can say, well, let's not bother betting on English league games. So if we took those out, so if we went down here, dropped our competition down here, if we took those out, our 8 points is going to become 18. In fact, it's going to become quite close to 19. I'm sure that by just dropping down this list and taking out England Championship. Did I do the Championship up here? Oh no, it's up there. All right, it's even more. And I didn't even see the Championship up here. These are in alphabetical order. So what I can do here now, then, I'll just go back a second just to show you this. If I press, if I select that one, then I'm pressing the control button now on the keyboard and holding the control button down, I can go and select all these English League Ones here. You can see it's 14.68 now. So if we didn't bet on any of those competitions, we'd be 14.68 points better off. And these are the kind of things we need to be looking at. And again, I'll go back to the caveat is that we still haven't got enough data here. By no means have we got enough data. If I just take England Championship off, League One, League Two, National League and Premier League, you can see up here we've only done we are into double figures, but 10 bets is nowhere near enough, 16 bets is nowhere near enough, 19 isn't. It is showing a little bit of trend because we are getting into double figures, but these need to be in the hundreds, if not thousands. And that's what you need to do is we need to collate the data and keep it going over a long period of time. And even then, past results doesn't predict what's going to happen in the future. But it's going to give us a bit of an idea of how well we're doing on each league. So if I click OK there, it's going to take those competitions out. And if I go down to the bottom, you can see we'd be 22 points up. And that is way, way, way better than our 8 points. I'd also look at that, see those bottom two there, that's the Turkish league. They're both negative, albeit again, we've only got 8 and 7 bets, but I would take those out. So I'd click on here, I'd go straight down to the bottom and take those out. It's going to go up another 4.71 points. So take that out. And we're up to 27 points profit of 174 bets. I would take those 10 Netherlands Divisie games out. And that's what we're looking at. I would take the Belgian. I would take that out. I wouldn't be looking at betting on those in the future. So we're up to 33 points. You can see how that's working. We just take out what we wouldn't bet on going forward. That's up to 10, so I'd probably take that out. Like I've just said before there, if I go down and take that out. So then all we need to do then is, we could throw the experts in against that. We could have that across the top, for example, because that's what we've been using. So put that in columns and see if there's anything that we can see here. The vast majority, there's no experts, and that is plus 35. So the experts haven't done very well. Oh, they have actually. It's gone up to 38. So that doesn't really have much impact. But there's just, if you're looking at the number of bets, there's just not enough at the moment. But we can still analyze the data. The more and more bets we get, the more accurate the analysis will become. Okay, so we've done competition then. Just thinking this, the other things we can look at, I'll just take all this out. The other things we can look at are just looking down here. Selection. If you remember, I said I would do selection. This is why I've put home in. If we go back to the worksheet, so here, down this column here, F, I've changed it all from that would have said that home one there would have said Leicester, and I've changed that to home. So that's why I've gone down, edited those, so we can analyze by this. You can see here, these are correct scores. These two are actually the same here, or 2.5 and over 2.5. I've just given them different names. So really I need to go back to my worksheet and tidy those up, use one or the other. If I drop in, and I shouldn't have took this out before, which was a mistake, but it doesn't matter, I can just drop it back in there. You can see the profit, and if I just drop it in again, and I give this one a count. Oops. Right. Again, we've got our bets here and our points here. You can see we've done 261 bets, which is our entire data set, with 8.24 points up. We've actually lost 8.42 points on the home selections, and it's 132 bets, which is actually about roughly half of the total bets, has given us minus 8.4. And you can see, yeah, 59 bets, which is probably, well, it's less than a quarter of the bets, has given us a profit of 5.92, just betting on away games, the away results. And that's another thing, it's another thing we can look at and take note of. And it would be a case of looking at these over a period of time as the volumes built up and ramped up. We just come back and say, well, are we still having the same success with away wins and the same loss with the home wins, or is it evening itself out? Is it just a bit of a spurious one at the moment because we haven't got that many bets in here, or is it a case of that the home games aren't as reliable as the away games? There's the number of tips. If I take that selection out and just put tips in here, we can look at the number of tips. So what we've got here is that's how many people have tipped the game. Now, obviously, the ones where there's only one or two tips is a bit hit or miss. They're probably lower profile games. And I'll show you something else here as well. If we look at rating, which is, I think, out of 100. Yeah. So this is the rating where you get the number of tips. So if there's been, like, say, 50 tips and 25 of the 50 have predicted a home win, for example, then that would be 25 divided by 50, which would be 50%, which is what I've got highlighted there. Now, you can see, I'll just change this back to bets, and I'll change this to points. Just type those in there so we can see what they are. What you can do here then is you can right click on these, because you can see all the different values down here. It goes practically from 1 to 100. You can see there's been 66 bets with a 0.62 profit on ratings of 100. So that's not the best. I know it's a profit, but it's less than a point profit, and there's been 66 bets that make that up. What you can do here is you can highlight that, and then if you press shift and go up to select more data, if you then look at the bottom right at the total, you can see over those two values it's minus 0.38. You've got that one's 138, and when you get to that one it goes positive, and if you keep going up to 89, you can see that's at 3.99. So there's an argument there. If you bet on anything that was over 89 or above, you'd be 3.99 points in profit. That takes it down. That takes it down. That takes it back up. So 86. Anything over 85, you'd be 4.54. And if I went up another couple, that's 6.12 now. And then to there is 6.67. And then to 80 is 6.99. And then if you go up to 79, it's 7.99. And then you'd start getting bigger negative numbers. There's 3 in a row there, which add up to about 5, which is going to take us right back down. So you could argue you're looking at, like, say, 79 or 80 as your cut-off for a good profit, anything over 80. And what you can do with these values, because there's so many, you can right-click on them, and there's this option here is to create a pivot group rule. You can do this on sort of values or dates, and if you click on that, we can do a minimum of 1, maximum of 100, and we could look at, like, intervals of 10. So you can see that's give us like 9 or 10, well, not 9 or 10, it's like a few less. But because the lowest value is between 11 and 20. Hello, Moto. So that's my phone there. Because the lowest value must be between 11 and 20. That's just showing one bet there. It's 0.2 point. That bet obviously won. Again, we can double click on that one there to see which the bet was. If it's 2.7 points, I suspect it was a draw prediction. No, it was an away prediction. It must have been a underdog. What was that game there? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was Sevilla. That was just the other night. Sorry, my phone keeps ringing. I should have put it on silent. So going back to I'll just delete this again then. Going back to the pivot table. That's how groups work. Again, if we highlight that and that, you can see we've got 6.6 on anything 81 and above. If we wanted to change the group into like 5s or 20s, we just do edit the group value and we can change it to say 20. It'll give us less groups but more in each group. You can see there's the 115 bets. Let's get you 6.6 between 81 and 100. Seems like a good yardstick, because then if you're looking at 61 to 80, yeah, minus 8.85. But then again, 41 to 60 looks really interesting because it's 13.7. If you highlighted all those three, you're still at plus 11.54. So there might be a case for anything over 40, because down below that. Or you could look at more groupings if you wanted to look at, say, 5 instead of 20. You get a few more groups with less in each. So there's 5s. You can see there's a dip on the 61 to 65. But 46 to 50 for some reasons quite good, quite tasty. There's 23 bets in there. Again, just not enough bets. We've got 261 at the moment. But this is what I'm gonna keep building on this and getting it bigger and bigger till we do find a working pattern. The two, like I say, the two I'm looking at the moment on this sheet here. So I'm looking at the expert bets, where experts are putting tips on, and I'm also looking at the value bets as well, because value bets over time, as long as they're deemed to be value bets over time, should always turn a profit based. It's just probability and calculations, and you can see there at the moment that it actually is. Okay, so that's a quick introduction to pivot tables. I can go into more detail in future videos if anybody's interested, but that's the kind of things I'm looking at and what I'm able to do in pivot tables. So I'll leave that one there, and gan canny.